Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Meepolis and this is Literally Graphic. And today we are looking at a pretty recent publication, namely Witchlight by Jessi Zabarsky and colors by Jeff Chateau. Originally published in 2016 by Xap Books, it was recently republished by Random House Graphics in 2020. According to her profile on Penguin Random House's website, Jessi Zabarsky lives in Chicago with her cat and 43 plants. She was raised in the woods and will one day return there. Flipping through their social media, Jeff Chateau lives in Oakland, California, and goes by they, he pronouns. And while obviously a majority of the credit does go to Zabarsky, Chateau's colors were very awesome. To briefly summarize the story, the Goodreads description is as follows. Jessi Zabarsky's lushly illustrated shoujo-adventure comic. What the heck? I just wanted to pause here for a moment to totally object to the use of shoujo in this context. That word was not included in the description on the back of the book itself, but its use on Goodreads comes across to me at least as totally bogus, among other things. Anyway, to continue. Introduces Lelek, the witch, as she blows through town one day, kidnapping the peasant girl Sanja. The unlikely pair grow more entangled as they travel together, looking for the missing half of Lelek's soul, the source of her true magical abilities. Both women are seeking to learn, in their own ways, how to be whole again. This book collects the serialized story all into one single volume, including the heart-gripping conclusion and other all-new material. The art was a nice synthesis of a number of popular things, in that it kind of reminded me of some other things, but felt like its own thing at the same time. Diverse body representation was very nice, and the colors were very subdued and on point. The page layouts were fairly straightforward to follow, but varied. The use of contrast helped things feel very crisp and geometric, even with all the soft shapes going on. Plus, there are hairy legs. Yay! The story itself was a bit hit or miss for people if Goodreads reviews are anything to go off of. The impression I'm left with is that it was less detailed than some people would have liked, and this does leave some gaps to critique. My reading style is, for better or for worse, pretty fast and loose, so I found it pretty enjoyable to just be along for the ride. I do wonder about the fact that it was apparently serialized initially, and how that would affect things. Also, maybe it's really aiming a bit younger. Young adult is a pretty wide open target. How does target age group affect world building expectations? I don't know. Gender and sexuality are obviously a thing. Both characters apparently use she, her pronouns, and they fall in love. There's definitely no male gaze nonsense in sight. There's a lot of adventures and no girl power signaling. It just happens and doesn't really hype itself up, which is nice. Race feels a little lacking in that it's there but doesn't appear to mean anything, which I guess is better than some things but perhaps worse than others. I didn't really complain about the tea dragons, so maybe I'm just overreacting. But as of the writing of this review, I just feel like I'm personally missing something. ADHD perfectionism for the win. Class is not particularly a concern of this book. The characters are not supposed to be particularly well off, but they don't seem to suffer from much want either in terms of plot points. Not really a critique, as this is the nicer side of average, but I am dedicated to thinking about class in the books I read, so here we are. Like race, I have a bit of a nagging feeling that there's something about ability versus disability in this book worth commenting on, but I don't know what it is. I will be rating this book 4 out of 5 stars. Cute, fast read that ends on a good note about not having to forgive others. Would recommend. Bye y'all, keep reading and resist white supremacy. And as always, Literally Graphic is created on land that should be given back to the traditional landholders, which in this case is, to my knowledge, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, Anishinaabe people, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat Nation.